contagious. The lights are bright, I can feel the strain. Must be heaven to Las Vegas. And run, everybody run. You know you gotta run. Everybody run. Oh, everybody run. Everybody run. You know you gotta run. Everybody run. Oh, everybody run. Everybody run. I used to be the one who always tried to make amends. I used to be the one you call a friend. I used to be the one who always tried to make amends. I used to be the one you call a friend. Oh my God, you better run. Everybody run. You know you gotta run. Everybody run. Oh, everybody run. Everybody run.
1 minute till showtime, everybody. Tell your friends. Tell people you don't like. Get them on board. We're going to be going live with our Sunday night's main event. After party coming up for Clash at the Castle.
Well, I'm no hero, no Superman. Never wanna die alone. I pack my bags and I count my cash. Gotta get out while we're young. I run. Everybody run. You know you gotta run. Everybody run. Oh, everybody run. Everybody run. I used to die like twice a day. The feeling is contagious. The lights are bright.
We love professional wrestling. Acknowledge me.
This is Sunday night's main event
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Because you love something fresh and new, don't you?
We deserve better, people. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
My God, what an impact.
My God, what a show coming from Cardiff, Wales. The first time a stadium event came from the UK in 30 years. If you didn't know that, you only heard that about 100 times tonight. How you doing? I'm Mike McGuire. Joining me tonight, Matt Ederer. You know him from the Boris and Matt podcast. You know him from NXT Talk, which remarkably is still on the air. And also joining us tonight from the Smack Daddies, the preferred Smack Daddy of Tuesday Morning Cooked, Brad the Dad. Gentlemen, how are you?
Bonjour, everyone. I am fabulous. This has been just quite the afternoon of professional wrestling. An enjoyable, digestible 3.5-ish hour show, and I'm raring to go. I'm ready for this weekend.
You know, the best part about this was that it was a morning of professional wrestling for some people. Yeah, myself included. Started at 11 o'clock, and of course, everybody on the West Coast were at 10. Brad the Dad, though, out in the East Coast, what time did it start for you?
We started here at 2 o'clock and sat down with my son, and we had a father-son bonding experience of watching some wrestling, and couldn't have been more fun. And I thought he was going to jump out of his chair for that main event.
Well, you know what? It was a great main event. Interesting finish. We'll get to it there. But tonight we want to hear from you as well. If you're a Sunday night's main event radio patron, you're able to participate in this conversation in the chat room, which is live now. If you haven't signed in yet, please feel free to do so. But if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on Facebook, or if you're watching by way of, I don't know, telecast transmission via 1971, I mean, either way, we love having you here and love having you be a part of the show. So feel free to chime in anytime, and we will be taking your comments later on as well. So you'll see the raise hand icon if you want to do that to partake in that time. We'll give you the opportunity to do that as well. But on that note, it was the Clash at the Castle in the United Kingdom, the first of 3 big shows this weekend. Matt, I know that you and Boris are going to be watching NXT tomorrow as well before AEW's All Out from Chicago. So let's get down to it. Big show happening in Cardiff, Wales. Overall feelings, though, Matt, as we're at this level of energy, this time of day. Like, how do you feel with an over-the-seas pay-per-view happening?
I feel excellent. I want more of these, especially if they're going to be booked like this in front of a great crowd like that. Are you kidding me? This was great. I think the takeaway right now, the big feeling is shock about how the ending shook down. As someone who covers NXT, and you just mentioned, like, we were kind of talking about maybe dropping the NXT Talk podcast. We can't do that now. NXT is important again. It's important.
Well, and I thought it was a kind of an interesting revelation that came out, revelation, I should say, a few days ago. I was listening to your pod, and it's all about the whims of Bruce Pritchard. And then we found out through an interview that Shawn Michaels has actually been doing all the writing, which blew my mind. But at the same time, I mean, if he's in charge of whatever the bosses want, then he's going to do what the bosses want, and that explains it. So at that time, Bruce Pritchard was the boss. But now we're starting to see more of an amalgamation as well between NXT and the main roster. They're still acknowledging NXT as a developmental, but they're not ignoring each other anymore. So it'll be interesting to see what happens anyways. But overall, a fun show in Cardiff, Wales. Normally when we start Tuesday Morning Cook, I say, let's go on a trip. So we're already there. Cardiff, Wales in the United Kingdom, Principality Stadium. We start off the show with, there was actually a pre-show. And there was actually a pre-show match. I'm not going to talk that much about it because a lot of people probably didn't see it thinking it was a typical WWE pre-show. But it was Madcap Moss and the Street Profits, who I believe have no history together whatsoever, against Austin Theory and who's Austin Theory tagging with?
The Alpha Academy.
Thank
Chad
you.
Gable and Otis.
Thank you. How did I not know that as shushing was going on all over the arena? I guess because there was just too much good pay-per-view after that, but it was a fun match to watch. There was no real, it was a crowd booster. It was hey, let's warm you up, let's see how you're feeling, get you some wrestling, and interesting to see Theory in the pre-show, but he would play a role later on as well. We get to the main card. We get our big intro. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I was watching this show and all the build up to it, I kind of expected Clash at the Castle. They had these big VR graphics promoting everything. It had the big castle wall with the screen in the middle and this big giant fire-breathing dragon and all this. I was kind of expecting like a set, some sort of entranceway, some sort of big thing. And we didn't get that. How'd you feel?
I know what you're saying. I think, it's like you mentioned the dragon. I think they just want to go digital with these things nowadays. They just want to overlay the graphics rather than building a physical stage, perhaps to save a lot of money. It is kind of disappointing when you look at all the old, like, beautiful sets, WrestleManias especially. It would have been nice. It would have been nice.
Well, if we're doing Raw in the UK, though, we're going to have a double-decker bus up there. Or,
Yes.
or at least the telephone booth, right?
Exactly.
We have to have one of those, too.
I was just going to say, phone booth every single time.
I would have laughed if they had literally just put a phone booth in this stadium with 60,000 people in it. Just one phone booth.
That was the set, yes.
Can't even have one on either side of the stage. But we start off, no big set, which also meant no opening pyro. Now, they did do something kind of cool, which they turned LED boards over the ring into a castle-shaped structure. So that was, I guess, your set. But it was over top of the lighting rig, so I don't know. It seemed to take away a little bit, and then the opening pyro was just a digital dragon coming and breathing down on the screen. This reminded me of I went to a stadium show with Bon Jovi once, and they tried. I didn't go with him; he was the one performing.
Yeah, of course.
But they did like digital fireworks in the backdrop of him playing, and I was like, "This sucks." Like, nope. No.
It was at that moment that you realized it sucked, and not the 45 minutes before when Bon Jovi was playing. No, I'm just kidding. I actually love Bon Jovi. New Jersey boy. He went on a date
That's
with
just
my
it.
aunt once. That's a true story.
From your aunt?
Well, yeah. He's married to this day to his high school sweetheart, and my aunt tells a tale that she was in there first. It didn't work out. Anyway, it's neither here nor there, Mike. That's a different podcast.
Yeah. And other tall tales. Moving on. Anyway, enough about Bon Jovi. Let's get into this show here. Our first match kicks off right off the hop as we see Bianca Belair's graphics kick in. She makes her way to the ring, followed by Alexa Bliss and Asuka. Alexa didn't have a Lily doll with her even, which makes me think that they didn't bring one via customs, or maybe it was confiscated. Maybe she couldn't get into the.
Too spooky. Yeah, couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine you're at customs and you have to explain what this horrendous doll in your bag is for?
It's probably not in the top 100 worst things or 1,000 that a wrestlers had to explain, but it's still not good. You wouldn't want to do it.
So I'm a professional wrestler, and my character is best friends with this doll here, you see. So...
All right, story checks out. You're free to go, man.
Yeah, off you go then. Welcome to the country. So we get them in, followed by... Even though the announce team didn't call them this, their graphics package, their entrance video all said the same thing. Damage Control. We'd heard this trademark had been filed a couple weeks ago by WWE, and that appears to be what Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, affectionately known as Kai and Sky. That's for my friend Joe Aguinaldo. They come to the ring with new music as well. Michael Cole uses this time to list some UK greats like Big Daddy, the British Bulldog, and says that UK wrestling is alive and well as we prepare to watch a bunch of North American, New Zealand, and Japanese wrestlers prepare. The match starts off, Bayley's in the ring, and throwing you back to NXT days of old, we get the "Hey Bayley, ooh, ah" sing along, and Bayley is trying not to crack, is working to get them stopped, but they're not giving up. They are singing this song to their heart's content.
Yeah, lots of fun. Crowd having a blast. And Bayley was doing a good job playing it off as the heel. She didn't let the crowd turn her babyface in this match. She was working hard to get them to shut up. And eventually they did. And yeah, this was one of, well, what was there? 7 matches on this show? 7 out of 7. Crowd was there for it. They helped every single match. They were arguably the MVP of this show.
So Bayley actually gets them to stop singing by taking a cheap shot on Asuka, and our match is on. We have a 3-on-3 schmoz before it's Bayley and Bianca. For those of you that have never heard me review a show, I write down a lot of notes. I don't always read all the notes because, frankly, who wants to sit here and listen to somebody ramble on about move by move by move? I think nobody, but there were some cool spots in this. Bianca went for her handspring moonsault. I enjoyed this immensely as Kai and Sky actually pulled both her arms out like you would hook a leg from a wrestler running the ropes, and they just pulled her arms out from her, thus stopping the moonsault. Eventually, all women are back in the ring. There's a triple suplex that happens. I always hate the setup for these because it just looks so blah. Like, okay, let's do a suplex. No, wait, somebody else is coming in. Okay, wait, somebody, get in here. All right, one more. Okay, one more. Come on in. Okay, each side. Now we've got 6 women all intertrenched, and we get the triple suplex. Fine. It's a neat-looking spot, but it's not exactly the most realistic. The sing-along makes its return a few times during this match for Bayley. And then Cole mentions an old Japanese faction of Io, her sister Mio, and Asuka being triple tails. Now, Matt, you're the Japanese wrestling expert here. Do you know anything about this faction?
Not a ton, to be completely honest with you. That was
That's
before my Stardom days. I'm kind of more into the Stardom now. But
That's fine.
Yeah, I am aware that Asuka as Kana killed it in Japan. But yeah, that's basically as much as I know.
Bliss and Io go to work at one point. Bliss gets the upper hand. Bayley comes in. There's more sing-along, so Kai comes in next. That doesn't last long, though, as Bayley comes back, and it's Asuka and Bayley. Asuka and Io end up in the ring together somehow in a series of punches and kicks before Io turns a Matrix move into a roll-up. Kai comes in, gets a 2 count on Asuka. Bayley then gets tagged in and out, which was hilarious because as soon as she got tagged in, the crowd cheered, so she immediately tags out because, again, she wants to stay the heel in this match. Bailey then is tagged in again and then tossed to the outside. Asuka tags Bliss, who hits Bailey on the floor with a molly go round, but Sky nails Bliss with a drop kick outside into the barricade. Alexa and Io are in the ring together. Alexa hits a turnbuckle at some point. Bliss gets a sunset flip power bomb onto Io, but the ref doesn't count it because Alexa wasn't paying attention, and Dakota Kai is actually the legal opponent. Now, this was great because what it was doing throughout this match was selling the continuity and the gelling of the team members of Damage Control, and commentary would make this a huge point as they would go on, and you would see it throughout the match. So we have the action continue. At one point, Asuka is cleaning house, hits Io Sky with a tornado of kicks and fists, but only gets a 2 count as Bailey and Kai break the pin. Io tags in Bailey, and the two double team Asuka for a 2 count. Commentary is still selling this teamwork. At one point, Asuka finally tags in Bianca, who was kept out of the match purposely. They were trying to build the fact that clearly Damage Control are trying to keep Bianca, the more athletic of the three, out of the match. So Bianca comes in with the hottest of hot tags and ends up hitting a spine buster and standing moonsault on Bailey. That's only good for 2, though. Bailey eventually gets perched in the corner and gets a double superplex from Asuka and Bliss using Belair's back as a platform. Belair had ended up almost being posted at one point there. So it was kind of a throwback to the Mat Rats days for anybody that remembers Mat Rats. Matt, do you know Mat Rats at all?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This was a kids promotion that Eric Bischoff actually produced, and it's worth looking up. It's super bizarre, and especially in these days where we think everything from the 90s is weird, this takes the cake. We have a point where Bailey is now back in the ring, but it's Kai and Belair who are actually the legal participants. Bianca lifts Kai with a press, showing off her strength, dropping her to avoid Sky coming in. Kai attempts a scorpion kick. That gets reversed from Belair, who goes up and rolls from the splash, but gets caught by an actual scorpion kick. Kai goes for the big boot, gets her leg hung up on the corner. Damage Control triple team Bianca, and this looked great. They just systematically picked her apart. Bailey hit a rose plant onto Bianca, followed by a moonsault from Io Sky. Bailey gets the pin on Bianca Belair. Your winners are Damage Control. Gentlemen, I would love your feedback on this match. Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah, really good stuff. Hot opener. I thought the crowd was right with it. Man, you highlighted a couple times Corey Graves' commentary, especially, but just the commentary in general. It's improved so much since the turnover, since the Vince McMahon retirement. But I thought this show was the prime example of how WWE's commentary has gotten much better. Corey Graves throughout the show was fabulous, and Michael Cole in the main event was fabulous on commentary. Good stuff. But yeah, the story of the chemistry, the team chemistry of Damage Control was very much on display here. I like this a lot.
Brad, the dad, you were watching with your son. What was the takeaway from this match for you guys?
We enjoyed the match as well. The only thing I noticed right from the beginning of the show, and even on the pre-show, was Michael Cole's was really overmodulated, and it kind of was driving me nuts as an audio head. Just every once in a while, he get really excited. On the other hand, I agree with Matt. Michael Cole actually is animated. And I mean, it must be like getting out of jail. Like, I've never been in jail. Hopefully never will be.
Or so we think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. He's out of like having somebody yell in his ear for years, to the point that I'm wondering if he was overmodulated because he couldn't hear right. Because he has some serious hearing loss from what I've heard from interviews with him.
I think they actually swapped out his headset, because I noticed that in the pre-show. I didn't notice it as bad during the actual show, but I honestly think that he blew his mic, because that's what it sounded like to me, was that the mic in the headset had blown. But this is all very techie, nerdy stuff that, that's what we're here for. Anyway, but overall, you guys loved the match. What'd your boy think?
He was very happy. He's a old NXT head. So Bailey winning, although he didn't understand why Bailey wasn't enjoying the adulation of the crowd, because for him, she's still that lovable hugger. And I'm like trying to explain to him, no, she's a villain.
Yeah, but to some of us, she'll always be the hugger. And that's okay. Okay, we get a backstage earlier segment. We see Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, shaking hands with Drew McIntyre. These two have had it out on Twitter a few times, but when the camera's on, they are Bret Hart and Seth Rollins. They are just going to be totally cordial to each other and very nice. Cole mentions the last time that they did a stadium show in the UK was SummerSlam 1992. They show highlights from the legendary Intercontinental Championship match between the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith and Bret the Hitman Hart, including that incredible, that beautiful roll-up pin out of nowhere. And then, surprise, we get a welcome from the announcer welcoming the family of the British Bulldog, who is not shown, and friend of the show, Bret the Hitman Hart, who is in attendance, sitting in one of the seats at ringside, who has a woman who clearly does not want to be seen on camera behind him.
That's hilarious. Yeah, good point. Good catch there. Bret looks great, man. It was very nice to see Bret in such good shape, looking good, looking healthy.
I saw him just over a month and a half ago now, and that's when I last saw him. And yeah, he's looking great. I saw a picture with him and Tyson Fury, I think. And I don't know if he's been back in the gym. He's got a gym in his basement, so I don't know if he's been lifting weights again or something. But dude's bicep is still just like, I have shame. I have shame. I am justifiably under or over 20 years younger than this man, and I have shame in my bicep action compared to the Hitman. So anyway, he looked good, looked great. I kind of wish they had actually trotted him out though with an entrance theme and had him come from backstage, but Bret's also kind of at that stage where he's like, "Nah, I'm just happy being here," so that's okay too. But I thought for a guy that's, I mean, how many Hitman shirts did you see in the crowd just on the hard cam side?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can tell, man. Like when Bret talks about how popular he was in Europe, that's not a lie. He was the shit in Europe. He was a big deal.
All right, this takes us to our next match. Speaking of the Intercontinental Championship, I love this little segue too, from that great Intercontinental Championship match to another, I'm going to go ahead and say, great Intercontinental Championship match, but great for a completely different reason. This was elevating a new talent using a very established, very long-term, very well built up, nothing's going to damage this guy opponent here. But it started before it started, because the Brawling Brutes enter first, and then Ludwig Kaiser is standing at the entranceway, and he introduces you to Giovanni Vinci.
Yes, sir. Yes. Fresh from NXT, formerly Fabian Eichner. Yeah, they changed this guy's gimmick completely, made him a millionaire playboy, and now he's right back to being Fabian Eichner, I guess, with a different name. But hey, that's all right.
Who cares? It's Imperium. It was Imperium, and for those that were watching Walter, whoever that guy was, along with Imperium, this was a nice throwback. This was a great holler to the UK fans, especially to the European wrestling fans, because it was nice to see Imperium back together as a unit for even just this one night. Anyway, Imperium make their way to the ring with the Ring General. Love how he says that. It's like he barely gets any sound out, just one word constantly. Anyway, they make their way to the ring, and Imperium and the Brutes are scrapping all over the place, kind of like SmackDown a couple weeks ago, where Gunther and Sheamus are just standing off, facing each other. Now, before we get to this match, I'm going to warn you. You might hear one wrestling move called during this entire recap. And even then, that may be expecting too much, but let's get to it. All right. We are watching a slugfest, a chop fest, I'm going to hit you, you're going to hit me. Sheamus's shoulder was bleeding. His shoulder was bleeding within the first minute of this match. Okay, let me say this again. His shoulder was bleeding. What are you doing to have your shoulder explode? I don't know, but it happened. These guys are knocking the crap out of each other. At one point, Gunther chops Sheamus off the top rope to the outside, where he then body slams Sheamus into the bottom half of the steps. There it is. There's your one wrestling move. We then go to Sheamus, who's already beat up, but rolls in at 9 of a 10 count. In the ring, Gunther is just dominating with a boot to the head or neck of Sheamus. They show that in slow motion. It looks nice and tight, followed by more and more chops, which have Sheamus's chest as red as his hair. Not much for moves here. Again, it's basically Gunther just chopping the hell out of Sheamus, and he starts working Sheamus's lower back area. This becomes a story of the match. No kidding. They do this again. We have the two continuing to trade blows. Sheamus goes for the bro kick, but misses. Gunther hits a power bomb. Sheamus kicks out of that at 2, though. But now you got to remember, he's already been getting that back worked on a bit here. Now it's getting worse. Sheamus is actually selling his lower back at this point, which matches the strikes from Gunther as he's continuing to work on that lower back. Gunther goes up top, but Sheamus meets him there with chops this time. The two have a chop off. Again, this was just a chop fest. Gunther wins that decisively. Gunther tries climbing up, but Sheamus goes for the Celtic cross from the top and down. Sheamus rolls up the leg, but that only gets a 2 count. Gunther then hits a power bomb. When Sheamus is unable to hit a bro kick due to his sore back, he actually stops and winces in pain. That gives Gunther the chance to nail Sheamus with a lariat clothesline and get the pin. Your winner and still Intercontinental Champion, Darren Gunther. Brad, let's start with you this time. Brad, you saw the pull apart that happened on SmackDown with Sheamus and Gunther standing off against each other, and basically all the other members of the factions fighting against each other. What do you think of this basically just Hoss on Hoss match here?
There was several times where the two of us sitting on our couch were just oohing and eyeing, and when he hit him and the sweat flew, there was a few times whether it was either Gunther hitting Sheamus or Sheamus hitting Gunther, and just the chops or the forearms, the clotheslines, and the sweat just goes everywhere. It was everything I want out of a wrestling match because it's believable. It is, and in a show with a bunch of different styles of wrestling throughout it, it was a nice break amongst everything else because it was just two big guys fighting as if they were fighting for their lives. And Sheamus made Gunther one of the biggest monsters on the SmackDown roster, maybe on the whole WWE roster, because he is now a legitimate threat because Sheamus did the honors. And we still have this thread that we can pull at, Mike. Like, eventually, Sheamus needs to win this IC title before he calls it a career, right?
Well, unless you ask Wade Barrett, who says that he needs this to hold over Sheamus, because that's the only title that Sheamus hasn't won, and it's the only title that Wade Barrett did win. So. Matt, how do you feel about this? Not a lot of wrestling in this, but a lot of hard hitting.
Just an incredible match, incredible display of just guile, just a war. So if you're like not counting like a hardcore match like Mick Foley, like Chairs, Royal Rumble 1999 Insanity, this might have been the hardest hitting match in WWE history. I'm not lying. What else is close? The only other matches are close are like 5 other Walter matches. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's incredible. It's so much fun to watch him. And Sheamus was like that guy, that brute, that like the toughest guy in the locker room. And then if this was like a new dog came into the yard and just, beat the old dog. And now Walter is the toughest guy in the locker room. This was just an incredible display. Just a brilliant match. Felt like the crowd really wanted Sheamus to win. I'm almost surprised they didn't call an audible. They wanted Sheamus to win so much, but it puts Gunther over that much better. So yeah, I just thought this was the best match in the show, in my opinion. I loved this.
We still got TV to do, but I'm not one to disagree with you. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Yeah, this was one of my top 2 matches of the night. And I could easily volley it between one or the other. But for a match that had very little choreographed wrestling or whatever you want to call it, I thought this was a ton of fun to watch. So do I need to see it again? I don't think so. Only because ick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well done, fellas, but I don't need to watch that again. Like, it was great, but it's one of those things where maybe you show it to your friends and be like, okay, watch this. And then you go to the kitchen and make a snack while they're watching. And then you all agree that, like, holy Lord, that was something. But anyway, enjoyed it immensely. Okay. We then come back to the ring after we get a standoff here, or a send-off, I should say. Sheamus is given a standing ovation following the match. Made me almost wonder if Sheamus looking at maybe hanging up the boots here soon, but who's to say? He's still in incredible shape. He still looks like Sheamus. Like, the guy's almost evergreen at this point. I don't know what he does next, except for maybe enjoys his life, because he's worked hard for a
Absolutely.
long time. So
the thing about Sheamus, and he's still incredible. Obviously, he can still go. He might have just had the best match of his entire career today, just an hour ago. But
I think so.
he's 44 years old. He's sneaky, and he's turning 45 in January. Like, dude has earned the right to call it a career whenever he wants.
Him and R-Truth just don't age. It's
Exactly
so
right.
Weird. Okay, we move next to our SmackDown Women's Championship match. It will be Shayna Baszler facing off against the defending champion, Liv Morgan. Before we get either entrance, though, we are showing UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards in the crowd holding his replica belt. I'm kidding, but wouldn't it be funny if it was, just for a second?
Or if the UFC titles had Velcro on them.
He's like, I'm not taking the real one there. No, I worked for that one. But it's like, how they have like the fake Stanley Cup that flies around.
Yeah. That's actually wouldn't be the worst idea. Practically, it makes sense.
The guy has like the gloves and everything. Oh yeah, this is the real Stanley Cup. All right. Yep.
It's made of aluminum.
It's got a plastic mold on the bottom. All right. Anyway, we get the fact here from Michael Cole saying that Wales was the only country in all of Britain that allowed women's wrestling in the 80s. All right. Good for them, I guess. Liv Morgan was sparring with Matt Riddle, we find out, to get ready for this match, which then planted the seed of, Riddle and Liv, eh? Nah. Anyway, we get into this match quickly. Shayna goes for a Karafuda clutch right off the hop. Morgan drops down and tries to do one of her own. Liv gets a roll up and a quick 2 before going for a Hurricane Rana and drop kick, followed by a high knee in the corner that had all the speed and ferocity of my cat after a can of wet food. But that's the story we were being told. So Liv tries for some rope tricks, but Baszler knocks her Morgan down, and Corey Graves says flat out, that's what you get for getting cute. Shayna drives Morgan's bad arm into the barricade before rolling Morgan into the ring and feeding her a series of fists. Shayna then starts pulling at that bad arm of Liv, who manages to roll out of the corner. The crowd is booing for some reason, which I thought was because Shayna had lost control, but they were cheering for Liv a lot, so I don't know what this was, but it seemed like sometimes they wanted Shayna to win and sometimes they wanted Liv to win. Anyway, Shayna eventually hits a German suplex, followed by a boot, which almost pours Liv out of the ring. Liv is doing a drunk girl stumble, as I like to call it, where she's like just on all fours, like kind of wobbling around. And then Shayna kicks the arm out from under her, kicks his arm out of his arm, or kicks his leg right out of his leg, in memory of the great Owen Hart. Liv then is trying to fight off Baszler, but Baszler just keeps working and twisting that arm. Baszler goes for another kick off the arm, but misses, and Liv hits a jawbreaker on Shayna. Both women are down. Morgan gets up and tries to hulk up as best she can, hits double knees to Baszler, but Liv had nothing left in the tank. Baszler gets up and hits some kicks before a big kick onto Morgan, who is diving off the middle rope. Baszler then sets up a stomp on Morgan's bad arm, but Liv gets a triangle choke, followed by an armbar on Baszler. Where did all these MMA moves come out of Liv Morgan? Shayna escapes easily and hits a knee to the jaw of Morgan for a 2 count. Liv then eventually hooks Baszler's arm in the corner and hits Baszler with a running powerbomb for 2. Baszler reverses and goes for a Karafuda clutch again, but believe it or not, Baszler's arm is now not strong enough to hold the Karafuda clutch. Morgan then hits a codebreaker, followed by Oblivion, and that's a 3 count. Your winner and still SmackDown Women's Champion, Liv Morgan. Matt, start with you this time.
Yeah, fine little match. Good effort here. Jersey girl, Liv Morgan, A-OK by me. I don't know. This was probably, if you wanted to be a dick about it, the worst match on the show, but it was still good. I still liked it,
Okay. All right, Brad. Do you want to be a dick about it, Brad, or what do you think?
Oh, there were some sloppy parts that I could have picked out. There was one point where my son's like, did she actually miss that kick and just slap her leg? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, rewind it. So he literally spent about I'd say 3 minutes, just rewinding one of her kicks, and he was like, "Look, she didn't even make any contact." So
never
I think,
rewind in front of the kids. Never do slow motion in front of the kids. But
listen,
anyway,
when the 14-year-old is calling out the move, it's not great. Like,
oh, he's 14. Okay, I thought he was like 9 or something.
No, he's 14.
All
He's
right.
a smart. He's
Oh, that's
one of those
fine
smart ass teenagers. So that he really just did. I mean, I don't know. It probably was the worst match. I'm a little disappointed. I really would have liked Shayna to win, and I kind of thought where Shayna is definitely one of Triple H's projects, she might have gotten the big win. But I think they're building towards Ronda versus Liv, which is dangerous. I mean, to throw it back to you, Mike, do you think that this might end up being a big mistake because they're trying to make Ronda into a heel, but everything they're doing on SmackDown seems to be making her into a babyface?
Ronda is going to be, if they do it right, and it's a big if, but if they do it right, Ronda could be a Steve Austin. Could be. Except for the fact that she can't talk. Which,
yeah, it's a pretty big accept right there. You know,
well,
like that's
but at the same time, okay, hear me out. Then we turn her into a killing machine where she doesn't have to talk. She comes out like Brock, and I'm not even saying that she needs a Paul Heyman to talk. She just comes out and just kills you. You know what I mean? Ronda Rousey shouldn't have to talk. She should let all her action happen through her moves. It should be almost like a, dare I say, the career, not the man, Chris Benoit. It should be a situation where you don't need a lot of hype. She comes out, she kicks your ass, she leaves. And if it's a real fight, then it would be something like her and Baszler. Seeing Shayna knocked down like this really took me out because I didn't buy that anything Liv did to Shayna's arm actually would have resulted in her breaking up a Karafuda clutch. But that's me.
And the big if with Ronda is that we have to have her be likable enough for her to be Steve Austin. The thing about Steve Austin was that he was the blue collared working man, kind of everybody wants to do to their boss. Where Ronda, I find when she does with the Steve Austin bit, she ends up coming off more like the bully rather than the anti-hero. And that's going to be a fine line for them to walk. The good news is Liv is almost unlikable too. So they're going to be able to make one of them into a heel.
I find Liv highly unlikable. And I'm not saying that as the person. I don't know the person at all. But this, even though like she gets the pin and she's like automatically crying again, you know, it's like, okay, you're a wrestler. You want a match, be happy. And then she snaps out of it. But I can't. Again, nothing against the performer. I just don't like what she's doing this moment. But hey, good for her. She's living her dream. Matt, anything else?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered it. I'm not going to I'm not dying on the hill of this match. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you to. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with the match. I just didn't think that the Shayna being that down and out was that believable based on what happened. So that's one dude's opinion. The great thing about wrestling is we all have them. So, all right, our next contest scheduled for one fall is a tag team attraction. It features Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day against Edge and Rey Mysterio. Now, I had a bit of fun with Peter Rosenberg on Twitter with this. They were doing the pre-show, and good old Canadian girl Jackie Redmond is also co-hosting this thing and says for the first time in 20 years, Edge and Rey Mysterio are going to be tagging together. Awesome. Love it. Peter Rosenberg, 30 seconds. I can't wait to see this match because we've never seen Edge and Rey Mysterio team together.
Bruh, pay attention, bruv. To quote Will Ospreay, bruv, you know.
So I may have tweeted at him and Jackie a photo of Edge and Rey as tag team champions and said, hey, score one for Redmond, you know, which he took in good stride as well, too. So that was great. But anyway, we get a lot of Miles Kennedy and Alter Bridge to start off this match here. Edge comes out following the Mysterios, and Edge is wearing his own lucha mask, which I howled for. I was complaining a couple weeks ago about how Edge with the short hair, it just doesn't work with the trench coat. It just, I don't, this is such an aesthetic, stupid little thing, but it's just not as rock and roll anymore. So when he came out with this, albeit ridiculous, devil mask on, it kind of looked like something you'd get at, I don't know, a cheap knockoff store or something, to be honest. But hey, it was his. It matched the whole devil gimmick, the from hell gimmick, whatever he's trying to do. He had the nice red coat to go with it. And it looked like fun. It looked like he was having fun. It also looked like he was terrified of tripping when he was running side to side of the arena to get the pop from the crowd. But hey, he got it done.
Yeah, I loved it. El Canadiense, I believe, is what his luchador
Is that what it is? Yeah,
They're Canadian, I believe, is what that would be.
If not, let's go for it either way.
My Spanish is rusty. Anyway, yeah, Edge was fired up. This crowd loved him. They were singing his theme. It looked like he had a little Liv Morgan tear in the eye there for a second.
And when they were singing along to us, like, to me, that was better than Judas. I thought, like, wow.
It was heartfelt. Judas, sometimes the crowd phones it in a little bit. This one, It was the first time they've ever sang Edge's theme that loud. Even in Toronto, when I was trying to get the chant going, I was trying to sing the song at Raw a couple weeks ago. It was not like this. They were singing that song. It was really nice to hear.
Yeah, it was awesome. Edge also has CO2, so I don't know. This building must have a no pyro rule, or maybe they just wanted to save the money on it. I don't know, but they only had the CO2 cannons for Edge's entrance, and that was it. So, Cardiff, after singing along with that Miles Kennedy song, decided to not sing along at all to the Miles Kennedy and Alter Bridge song that Finn Balor and Damian Priest come out to. But that's okay. You don't always have to sing along. We do have a great start to the match, as it's Rey Mysterio and Finn Balor. Finn leads the charge. Rey Mysterio eventually hits a tilt-a-whirl Hurricane Rana to Finn, which causes a tag into Damian. How many notes did I take on this match? Because I know there was a lot. Okay, it's not that bad. I can do this one. Priest wants Edge. Rey tags him in. Priest hits a hard right hand on Edge, which was supposed to be a lockup. I liked this. This was a little heel move that you don't see that often anymore. But when you imagine two wrestlers going for the lockup, right? The arms go up, and you're supposed to grab the neck and the shoulder, and then you go. But in this case, or the neck and the forearm, I should say, or bicep, that's it. Yeah. But instead of reaching for the neck, Priest just cold cocks Edge, and that's what knocked him down so hard. I don't know if commentary touched on that enough, but for anybody who was wondering why is Edge so stunned from one punch, it's because Edge was expecting to lock up, but Priest hit him with the fist. So I thought that was a great little tale that didn't get told maybe as well as it could have. Anyway, Edge signals to Rey to cover the corner, as he knows that Priest is about to whip him into it. So Rey does something else I don't think I've ever seen either. Maybe this is just me. Maybe you've seen it somewhere else, Matt. But Rey then lies across the top turnbuckle, which basically makes enough padding for Edge to stop and not feel any pain when being whipped into the turnbuckle. Have you seen this done anywhere before?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe the Young Bucks do it when they're baby faces or something. I have seen that. It is kind of maybe even just a lucha staple. Maybe just watching some AAA weirdness here and there. Okay. That is something that you do see from time to time. Yeah, the tag team partner absorbing the blow in the corner. It's a little cheesy, but I like it. I
thought it was neat because you could actually see Edge point to Rey, like, go there now. And
yeah, true.
So it wasn't bad. Anyway, Finn tries to do the same thing to then protect Priest, but Edge reverses the Irish whip and throws Priest into the unblocked corner. So, haha, fooled you. Edge at one point catches Rey, who's thrown himself into the ropes, does a powerbomb backflip moonsault onto Rey to Finn and Priest on the outside. This probably could have gone smoother, probably went smoother in rehearsal, but whatever. Got the job done. Got Rey Mysterio on top of the other guys. Priest is working on Rey, or I should say, back in the ring, Judgment Day get the upper hand on Mysterio, and then Priest is working on Rey after taking Rey to the mat again. Priest kicks Edge's hand away from a tagging position. Then Priest stops and looks at Edge and spits his gum in Edge's face. I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Gross. Ugh. I don't know why that grossed me out so much, but it's this giant wad of gum. And it was the hard stuff because it bounced off Edge's face. And hit him square on, too, like right between the eyes. It was just, ugh. No room for that in my life. Priest tags in Finn, who's working on Rey on the mat before taking a jawbreaker. And eventually, they end up outside. Rey is about to do something to Finn on the barricade when Priest jumps up onto the barricade, just to get crotched by Mysterio on the retaining wall. They then go right in on Priest, who has just been, remember, nutted on the retaining wall outside. And Damian Priest, the punishment of the Judgment Day, is going...
Yeah, Priest's pre-selling of this was like laugh out loud funny. It's just everything we want pro wrestling to be right there. It's just 10 out of 10.
There's finally a hot tag to Edge. And Edge hits execution on Finn. And then he sets up Finn for a 619 and nails it. Sort of. It was still better than the Edge-Rooney, I dare say.
I think it was Corey Graves, another awesome call. He was like, that was more of a 519.
It's like the 416. Give it a 319. Mysterio hits a splash, but the 3 count is broken up by Priest. This would have been a great finish, but the breakup wasn't a bad thing either. Priest is about to chokeslam Ray off the middle rope at one point, but Edge spears Priest to the outside. They are both on the floor. Balor then, in a fit of rage, spins and slides Rey Mysterio out of the ring. That disgusting front baseball slide bump out of the ring that Rey loves to do and looks horrifying every time. Rey does again. And this time, Edge comes in but takes a sling blade from Finn Balor. Finn then gets Edge into the drop zone, so to speak. And then Dom enters to allow Rey to stop a coup de grace attempt. And then, when he leaves the ring, Rhea knocks the holy hell out of Dominic. Rhea is now setting up Dom for something outside. She's kind of doing a carry, holding him across her chest sort of thing. Rey knocks them both on the outside, actually hitting Dominic. But, again, that way Rey doesn't have to hit Rhea, which is good. And Rhea still falls down. Dom hooks Balor's leg at one point when Finn is trying to go for a running move. That sets up Balor to take a proper 619 from Rey Mysterio, followed by a spear from Edge, and the 3 count. Your winners are Edge and Rey Mysterio. This would not be the story of the match, though, my friends. But let's talk about the match first before we get to the after shenanigans. Brad, we'll start with you this time. Great tag team action here. Are you happy with the outcome?
Yeah, although, Mike, before I say anything, can I get you to do that sound effect just one more time for me? The sound of Damian Priest on the barricade, because that you just, I did a spit take, but that camera was off and nobody saw it.
Well, no, you can go back and watch it on the show too. But he's like, it's like almost like a subdued Joker. Like if the Joker was trying to whisper, that was basically Damian Priest trying to.
The crazy part for me, guys, was the fact that Finn Balor is like one of the wrestlers from this area of the world, and he still was not cheered the way that all of the other wrestlers from the UK were cheered, because that's how over Edge and Rey Mysterio were. They probably got some of the loudest responses of the night, and that was sitting with a 14-year-old. Was his reaction was, "Oh my gosh, these guys are legends!" And then afterwards, he's like, there were 2 things. One, Mike could be happy. He wants to go back and see that Bret Hart and Davey Boy match, which I think we'll probably do after this.
Good.
I think that's good parenting that I show him that. But he wants to go back and see some of the stuff with Edge and Rey as a tag team. When they were younger guys, he's like, I would love to see some of this stuff. So we might go down a SmackDown 6 portal.
I saw some Edge action from the last run. I was watching some match on YouTube, and it blew my mind. I never noticed it at the time how fast Edge has always been. But Edge was like remarkably quick for a large part of his career. He'd be running around a lot and like super quick. So keep that in mind when you watch those matches too. But overall, you guys were happy with this match?
We thought this was probably one of the better matches of the night. And I mean, Matt, I always love me some Rey Mysterio. And yeah, I'm always excited. I feel lucky to be able to watch Edge and Rey Mysterio wrestling at this part of their career.
Matt, how about you?
That's
match
really,
only.
Really good point and well put. Like, we are lucky to be able to see these guys. Ray's had a dozen knee surgeries. Edge did lose his career for 10 years almost. So, man, like, we are lucky to watch them. They might not be around much longer, and they were treated like legends. And yeah, just the match, very, very good match. I was surprised at the finish, especially with the ensuing angle, because they could have beaten the other team.
They could have. They could have, but they did not. So let's go to what happens afterwards. Edge, Ray, and Dom are celebrating together. Well, Edge and Ray are celebrating, and Edge is looking at Dom and saying, hey, we did it. We did it. And then all of a sudden, Dom just stands there kind of lethargic. And boom, he kicks Edge in the ding-ding with full force. And then he clotheslines his father. Somehow in this, Dominic has lost his shoes and... Oh, sorry, guys. I'm getting a phone call. Hold on.
Can you feel the heat? Say hello to Eddie. I don't care if you don't like
Viva la Dominic!
Do you feel
Dominic Guerrero is born! I love it.
Get that kid a lowrider right now. Let him come out every arena in the world. Just bounce in the car. Once he grows his facial hair in, Mike, he is going to be the greatest heel of all time. Although 50-50 chance that kid can actually grow facial hair.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure that's ever going to happen. They need to change his name to Dominic Guerrero. That's what
exactly.
needs to, when he's a heel, he needs to be Dominic Guerrero. And when he's a babyface, he's Dominic Mysterio. That would be so perfect.
The greasy mullet, the cheesy mustache. This is vintage Eddie. I've been saying it for months, if not years.
Can you check something with Dave Meltzer tomorrow? What's Vicky's contract status? Is she out of AEW yet? Can we bring her in?
Oh, great call. I also loved right between the kick to the groin and the clothesline to his dad, Ray pleading with him, like, Dominic, what are you doing? Like, per favor, listen to me. Let me talk to you. Like, trying to get in his face. And then he was like, you know what? Screw you, dad. Hits him with a clothesline. And who among us doesn't want to clothesline our fathers? Just a classic professional wrestling moment.
Well,
hats off to you, Dominic.
As I sit there watching this with my son, and I'm wondering when he's going to turn on me.
He's side-eyeing you a little bit. We know it.
I never met my dad, so thanks for opening that one, Matt.
Some people, I'm sorry, my friend. Some people, my trade places.
Can I also point out how awesome Edge was? Like all the years of acting, when he gets kicked in the nuts, he just stares at Dominic before he goes down, just like no, and then he goes down. And a big shout out if you haven't watched Vikings, go back and check this out as well. Edge on Vikings was amazing.
All right, does he get kicked in the ding ding a lot?
I think eventually he loses his head. He might get his head just lopped off at some point during that series.
Are we talking upper or lower? Anyway, let's move on. All right. Dom makes his way away from the ring and tears off his Los Mysterios shirt to reveal his Hulkamaniac tendencies and non-Hulkamania figure. Judgment Day are shown pointing and laughing at Edge and Rey Mysterio, which I actually enjoyed probably more than anything they did during the match. And we're left with Ray and Edge hugging in the middle of the ring, consoling each other.
Yes, Hulkamania pose, Gene Okerlund figure. Right there.
Genomania, brother.
I'm waiting for Edge to go home and start staring side eyes at his two daughters, going, "Oh, countdown's on. I wonder when they're going to show up and turn on me."
No, what he's probably happy about is, well, at least I had you before I got kicked in the ding-ding and can't have children ever again. Okay, we get a promo building up Drew McIntyre for his big title opportunity later on tonight. And then we get the attendance announcement. You ready for this, gentlemen? 62,296, which is actually fairly close to the real number.
Wait, what? They don't make things up?
Well, no, it's well established that the announced attendance number is part of the entertainment, you see. But I guess it's not too far off, right? Like that seems pretty close.
Well, I was watching WrestleTix closely for this because I really wanted to know how much they would actually, inflate this number and everything. And I'm just actually checking their Twitter now because there's been no update yet. But they did show the tarped off section, and they said that, they had over 62,000 distributed. So,
wow.
There you go.
Sorry,
go ahead.
That's incredible, Mike. They actually were, first of all, crack journalism by you for checking WrestleTix. But secondly, the fact that they're actually relatively honest, like, are we moving into an era where WWE might be honest with their figures?
Insanity. Could you imagine?
Well, did you hear the thing afterwards? They're doing post-show press conferences now, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Direct competition with us, which is no good. But no,
How dare they?
that's actually super interesting. I can't wait to check them out.
I had it running with the captions on. I was flipping back and forth while we were doing the post show, and it's basically just Triple H answering real questions from real media. From the looks of it, I'd have to like watch it closely to see if it was actually not plants, but what a novel concept. The guy who booked the show takes criticism and takes praise.
So he's definitely watching something from AEW, because that is Tony Khan through and through right there.
Well, that's also pro sports, though, and that's what
True.
Nick Khan brought in. So, I mean, it always blew my mind that a WWE or WWF would have an event that they would attract, you know, upwards of 75 to 100,000 people per event, and not do any sort of post-event scrum. You know, because why wouldn't you? That's what people want to see on the news the next day. So, anyway, that got done, and that's good. Attendance 62,296. And I bet you the reason why they did that is because that would be one of the first questions to come up in the press conference. Why did you inflate the number? So, we get a promo for Matt Riddle against Seth freaking Rollins. Seth Rollins is actually featured in an interview with Ariel Helwani, where he brought up the past of Becky Lynch being body shamed by Riddle's now ex-wife, and saying that, you know, that's not really cool. He doesn't really like working with Riddle, but he will work with him because he's a professional. It actually made me kind of appreciate Rollins a little more watching this interview, assuming that it's all legit and on the up and up, because wrestling is always a work, but it was delivered in a manner that I found to be very sincere, and he wasn't trying to play the character here, even though he was still in Seth freaking Rollins clothes, which made it funny. He's talking very sincerely with these very high capri pants on and a blazer covered in stars. Anyway, we get our entrance. Riddle comes to the ring wearing a lime green outfit. Corey Graves made some crack about Riddle hearing they were going to be in Wales, so he thought he was going to be in Bikini Bottom or whatever it is with SpongeBob SquarePants. So.
Oh, I missed it. SpongeBob joke from Corey Graves here on the program.
Hey, bring it up. Why not? And then Rollins enters in what I can best say is if Elton John joined a satanic cult tomorrow. This is what he would wear.
It's like if Elton John and Kane had a baby, it would be wearing this gear.
Yeah, complete with Victoria's Secret wings attached.
yes, indeed.
It was something special. Anyway, this match we knew was going to be something good because if these two generally don't like each other and they're both super talented, dare I say, shades of Brett and Shawn. Maybe not to the execution level, but still the tension could be there. So we'll see what happens. We start off, Riddle is on the attack. There's some punches, there's some kicks, there's some slapping sounds, but there is no slapping of thighs. These kicks are landing. And I'm enjoying this. He's not going full strength, obviously, because it's still wrestling. But they're connecting, and it's looking good. They're both connecting with each other. I like this. Just two super athletic wrestlers laying their shit in, so to speak, and having a go at it. You know, make it look convincing. Make it look real.
That's what it's all about. That's what the professional wrestling business is at the highest level, right? It's like hitting each other hard in a safe place. So let's hope there were no injuries. And this was a fantastic match.
Apologize before you go out and then go get the work done. And that's what these guys were doing. If you ask me, I thought that this was a stark contrast to Liv Morgan's very obvious thigh slap boot in the corner to these two guys literally just laying everything in.
I feel like we need to be a little. I want to be the one who's on Team Liv. I've had enough of this anti-Liv slander on this podcast.
I'm not slandering anything. Did you not visibly see her slap her thigh?
I chose to. I must have been sneezing or grabbing a sandwich at that moment. No, I'm just messing with you, Mike.
Wait, don't worry. Mike will be all over this tomorrow night too. I'm sure that we're going to get a 6-man tag tomorrow night that's going to involve more thigh slapping than we've seen in any Liv Morgan match.
More thigh slapping than an old country hoedown?
First of all, I will not be at the All Out show, so thanks, but no thanks. because I'm doing the main show and then I'm doing Raw. So you think I'm doing 4 of these and then
No,
it's not
that's
happening.
come on,
Wait,
we don't-
but Mike, you're the one that's the furthest west out of the lot of us. I bet you that show tomorrow, I mean, good luck to everybody doing that show tomorrow, doesn't start until what, 3 o'clock Atlantic time, which would be about 1 o'clock your time?
Oh my God. Yeah, either way, I'm out. I'll watch it the next day. I'm fine. But we've got all the coverage for everything for those of you that are watching the live stream. We are taking care of everything, and I will be watching the show. I'm gonna go see outside.
touch grass. Yes, it's a
Outside
good
this
idea.
room. Don't get me wrong, my wrestling room is amazing, as you can see, for those of you watching on the live feed, but every once in a while I like to get out of here, see the real world, so to speak. Things like sunshine and fresh air.
What kind of wrestling fan are you, Mike, if you're going to go outside and leave your basement?
Oh, I know. I've kissed girls and everything too. Like I've been to places.
You need
and
to submit
things.
your wrestling fan card. You're out. You're out of the bubble. You're out of the bubble.
You know what I need though, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. The only friends that I'm jealous of are they're few and far between, but the friends that have like the perfectly amazing understanding and perfect in every way wrestling fan spouse. Those are French kiss, chef's kiss, French kiss. That's a different thing. But that's, is your wife a fan, Brad?
No, not really, but she has watched a lot of the reality stuff, but she is the perfect spouse. She's even like, we've had discussion that next time there's a WWE, like a Royal Rumble or WrestleMania that comes to Canada, she wants me to like plan a little family trip and all of us go and watch.
Does she have a criminal record? Is that why you can't get her into the States to go to one of these?
No, we just have family all over Canada, and
she's got several felonies against her, doesn't she?
She's got felonies all over Canada. So.
Honey, next time they come to Canada, please, can we go? Because, I can't get across the border.
Arizona's on the list, too. We have friends in Arizona, but we're just not, like, it is one of those things. The kids are now old enough. One kid would be very excited to do this. The other kid would probably be just excited to go somewhere. So
well, there you go. What? Something? I'm in. Let's go. Okay, let's talk about this match some more here, as we seem to have greatly diverted off of it. Again, everything's nice and snug in this. This is like trying to call the Sheamus and Gunther match, only with fancier moves, because, again, these guys were all over the place. They would have breaks where they would just kind of beat the snot out of each other, and then they'd hit something amazing. For example, Rollins takes Riddle to the top for a superplex. Seth then goes for his roll through into the Falcon Arrow, but Riddle reverses into a Fisherman's Buster. I don't think I've ever heard that move called that before, but it makes sense. That's what it is. Fisherman suplex into a brain buster sort of drop down. So
that is funny. I've seen it. I've seen that like in video games. I've read Fisherman's Buster, but it's true. I don't know if I've ever heard an announcer passionately yell those words. Yeah,
never heard it called once. There's a series of punches, slaps, and even an unmentioned Superman punch from Riddle into Rollins in the corner. Riddle then kicks Rollins outside the ring, does a floating bro to the floor. Rollins tries to hook a pedigree at one point, but Riddle hits the bro to sleep, and a powerbomb followed by a knee for 2. These guys are working fast and tight. It was great. Riddle then gets a dragon sleeper in before Rollins hits the bro Derek on Riddle. What? He's using his own move against him? No. This can't be good for Riddle. Riddle eventually kips up, but then eats a fist immediately, which I found quite comically entertaining, even though it wasn't supposed to be. Rollins is then caught with a knee, but then Rollins hits an enziguri. Rollins picks up Riddle and nails the pedigree. Riddle barely lifts his right shoulder up at count of 2. Seth then calls Riddle a loser. Says his wife knew it, and that's why she left you and your kids. Now, before we go any further in this, we talked about this on Tuesday Morning Cooked, fellas. Bringing the ex-wife and the divorce into it, bringing the kids at all into this, thumbs down, in my opinion. Matt, what do you think?
It's wrestling, so I don't care, although I don't disparage your opinion, and I think they should be smart enough to know that as soon as they mention family, especially kids, you're going to get that reaction. Like, a lot of people are going to be like, this is trash, this is cheesy. But to me, I expect trash and cheesy. So I'm like, yeah, fuck those kids. I shouldn't have said that in those words, but Anyway, moving on forever.
There's our first strike on YouTube. Thanks, Matt.
No, but yeah, like I don't
Wow.
I don't give a shit about Matt Riddle's kids. I think that's entertaining.
Oh man. Okay, so
Wow.
I'm gonna go to the other end. I think I'm in Mike's camp. I was there with a 14-year-old having to explain why we were having somebody's family mentioned into a storyline where he's like, what? And I had to explain to him, like, you are not allowed to go and search Matt Riddle. You're not allowed to just go search Matt Riddle on the internet.
Anything. Just Matt Riddle anything is probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good thing. With it.
So guess what he's Googling tonight, Brad?
I'm not dumb, Mike. I know what he's doing, but it's one of those things. I think it was kind of uncalled for. And I get that Becky's fair game because she's a character on the show. But like, here's the $1 million question. And I haven't seen it anywhere. I was looking actually before we did the show. Did anybody know? Is Matt Riddle's wife okay with this? Because if not, I agree with Mike. His kids are going to be eating it at the school ground on Monday.
Again, I don't care about the divorce. I don't care about the wife. That's fine because the wife has been vocal, and it's not the wife, it's the ex-wife. So that's fine. Me, I come from a situation, and this is where my own upbringing comes into it, right? I've known tons of kids who had zero home, let alone a broken home, and a broken home can lead to, and I'm not saying that every broken home is leading to terrible things either, because there's tons of single parent families out there, or kids that are raised like I was by my grandma, or uncles or aunts or whoever, who have a great friggin' life, a great life. But these kids, none of them had a global celebrity have their dirty laundry aired out in front of God and country and the world the way this was. So no matter how old these kids are, this is still going to follow them, and the divorce is still going to mess them up one way or another. It goes on to, I got friends that are my age now that still aren't over their parents separating. And so to have that play out on TV this way, that's where I threw my flag. And again, it's my flag. You might think differently, and that's cool. But it gave me the not so, hey, this is just wrestling cringe factor. Well, it went a little above that for me.
That's fair. It's like the kids are too young to give consent to this anyway. So it's no matter what, it's greasy and gross on that spectrum of it. So that's fair, man. That's entirely fair. It didn't bother me because I'm just not inclined to really give much of a shit about something like that. But you make an excellent point.
Cool. And that's Brad,
for me, it's just the escapism. Like I watch wrestling so that it's an escapism thing. And the moment you get into that kind of stuff, my real life was that I dealt with young people for like 20 years, and I just dealt with all the stuff that you just described, Mike. And so it to me, it just makes me sad. And I don't want to be sad watching wrestling. I want to enjoy watching wrestling. So
that's just it. I didn't know that Macho and Liz had divorced until years after it happened. And I couldn't handle that divorce. So
they're still married in my heart forever.
Yeah. Okay, back to the match. What do you say? We are at the point now where after Riddle has been insulted from his family and everything, that he gets up and explodes with a series of fists. He falls on the outside, and Rollins catches Riddle for a draping DDT. He's stealing more of Riddle's moves that he stole from Randy Orton. Rollins then takes it a step further and starts doing the Randy Orton fist pounds on the ground. Man, for a show without Randy Orton, there's a lot of Randy Orton in this match. Rollins goes for an RKO, but Riddle turns into a sleeper, followed by a series of fists and kicks to the outside, bouncing Rollins off of the announce table over and over and over. Riddle has had enough. He pulls out a chair from the timekeeper's area and just misses Rollins' head, somehow staying in this match and not getting disqualified. Rollins then goes into the ring, and Riddle, like a dope, follows in and eats a curb stomp. Rollins then hits a curb stomp from the second rope and gets the pin. Your winner is Seth freaking Rollins.
Second rope curb stomp to win this match. I liked the little bit of storytelling there where he was pushing the buttons, and he finally got Riddle to snap, and then he made him make the crucial mistake of grabbing the chair and then following Seth Rollins into the ring like a dope, like you said, and then 2 straight stomps, including one off the second rope. Excellent match. I preferred the Gunther versus Sheamus match, but I wouldn't say that you were crazy if you preferred this one.
Yeah, Brad?
This might be my favorite match. I would say I did prefer this match, other than the ending. I was really hoping for Matt Riddle, and in fact, that ends my time in the tournament because I totally picked the wrong wrestler to win this match. I thought Riddle had this for sure, and I thought he would be the logical next opponent in line for Roman. But do you think we're setting up a Seth Rollins getting into the main event?
Well, he's been saying it enough for months that he's going after the Universal Championship, so it could be, I guess.
I think after watching the main event that we're about to discuss at length, it has to, the man who beats Roman has to be Cody. It has to be. He's the only one in the company who I think it makes any sense at this exact moment anyway.
Like, does it mean there's somebody outside of the company that might make more sense? He hints as a celebrity that's in the family might be coming back for a WrestleMania match.
Oh man, if I kind of smell what you're cooking, or perhaps a famous boxer who's also a terrible singer who did a quick 30-minute set of karaoke at the end of the show.
All right, let's get there then, shall we? Gentlemen, in the words of Mark Henry, it's time for the main event. This contest is for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Introducing first, he is the challenger.
What's that metronome I hear? Perhaps the end is drawing near. You never hear the shot that takes you down. Out of time, so say goodbye.
How cool is this? They take Drew McIntyre's old entrance with the old sepia tone screen and they add highlights from his childhood to his independent wrestling days, his IWA days, all the way up to WWE being the chosen one, being fired, and then coming back as the Scottish psychopath, eventually Drew McIntyre, the Scottish warrior. I loved it. I love that theme. I love the fact that the crowd was singing along to it. Everything was just perfect there. All right. We start with that. Drew's coming out, though, with no robe, no kilt, but yes, managed to get the sword into the country. Okay. Roman Reigns comes out with no Usos.
The no kilt thing really, sorry, Mike. The no kilt thing totally drove me nuts because it was like, out of all the easy pops of the show, why was he not wearing his kilt?
I will answer that question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
He would have been representing one family's tartan and not everybody else's tartan. That's why.
It worked for Roddy Piper. Worked for Roddy Piper for years.
Different guy, different era. People get offended at everything these days. Why not just keep it easy? Plus, he was ready to fight. He's proven he's not going to fiddle with anything except his sword. I meant to say that differently, but you get the point.
It's not the worst thing that's been said on the podcast.
Not today.
Sorry, Boris.
Okay, there's no robe, no kilt, yes, sword, and Roman comes out with no Usos, no Heyman, but yes, chili pepper lay. So that's good. We are in the ring now, and after the introductions, there's a very strong go Drew McIntyre. Drew is eating this up. Romans is selling it. Romans has been champion for 2 years, and there have been 55 title changes with the other WWE championships. Clearly, this total given by Michael Cole did not include the 24/7 championship.
Excellent call. Yeah, there's 55 on some episodes of Raw.
Precisely. Your referee for this contest is Charles Robinson. Beautiful first lockup. These two just push each other around. Drew pushes Roman into the corner. They break up and go into another lockup. Nothing much happens. The fans don't care. They are solidly behind Drew. More go Drew McIntyre chanting. Drew hits a running shoulder block on Roman, knocks Roman out of the ring, and you'd think that Drew had just won the match, the country, and control of the world based on this shoulder block, but that's okay. Roman takes an hour to get back into the ring, starts hitting Drew with shots into the corner. Roman then shushes the crowd. Chad Gable gimmick infringement. And then works on Drew in the corner with a series of punches before McIntyre reverses and gets a 10 punch of his own before clotheslining Reigns to the outside. Drew then follows Reigns outside and drives Reigns into the barricade, the ring apron, and then eventually into the ring steps. Drew is about to do more to Reigns, but all of a sudden a water bottle is thrown at Drew, and we look over, and it's Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross violated the courtesy warning at every WWE show and threw an object at or near the wrestlers or ring.
Yeah, where's security to throw this man out? Where's that Hank guy from NXT? I demand vengeance.
Shame, shame, shame. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WWE Live. At this time, we ask that please you refrain from videotaping the show. Also, at any time, it is forbidden to throw any objects at or towards the wrestlers or ring. Such an act could result in immediate ejection from the venue and possible criminal prosecution. Not that I've said that a few times.
Yeah, such an action could really could lead to possible criminal prosecution. I wish I would have practiced this. Or a world title shot against Drew McIntyre next time.
Anyway, Reigns is allowed to take control thanks to the distraction of this massive water bottle being thrown by Karrion Kross, who wants to go right now, starts taking off his new fancy leather jacket. And Reigns is now controlling, laying clubbing blows in the corner of the ring before posting McIntyre at one point. Reigns almost hits a Superman punch, but nothing comes of it at one. And then Roman continues the beatdown on Drew. There's a series of blocked vertical suplexes back and forth, which leads to fists from Reigns beating Drew down some more. At this time, Roman asks for a microphone. You're in the middle of defending your championships, but no, I need to say, Cardiff, acknowledge me. So he does. There's then an immediate Glasgow kiss from McIntyre. To Brad's point, the sweat slapping off these guys made it look great. Both men are down. Eventually they get up, and there's a series of what I like to call the boo-yay punches. Boo, yay, boo, yay. There's some belly-to-belly suplexes, a neck breaker by McIntyre, and then a kip up from Drew. Reigns ends up in the corner. They're going for a superplex, but then Roman fights out of it. Drew is holding Reigns' hair at one point before ending up in a tree of woe, only to hook Reigns' head and take him down. Drew then sets up the countdown for the Claymore, but Roman rolls out of the ring because, again, if you want to hit a guy with your most powerful move, you want to give him an ample audio cue to avoid it.
That's just good manners, Mike.
McIntyre tries to set up the Future Shock DDT, but there's nothing. Drew manages to get a jackknife cover following a spine buster, but Reigns kicks out just before 3. McIntyre hits an elbow, but Roman catches Drew with a rock bottom for 2. Roman jacks off his arm, yes, I said it, and goes for a Superman punch, but Drew catches it and hits the Future Shock DDT. Drew once again does the Claymore countdown, but Reigns catches him with a Superman punch. Again, why would you do the countdown? Because it makes the crowd cheer. All right, Roman hits a spear on Drew. Drew kicks out at 2. Roman goes for a guillotine, loses it, but gets it on the second attempt. Roman is doing a great job of making me think he could lose this match. His facials at this point are incredible. He's like looking like he's struggling. He's wondering what's it got to take to beat this guy. Drew follows Roman to the outside, knocks Roman through the worst barricades in wrestling. It was cool the first time you saw this happen, and the second time you saw it happen. Now we're getting it every second week. This, just bring back the bike racks. I'm just saying. I guess it looks better. Anyway, McIntyre goes for the Claymore again, but this time he is speared. So it's 3 times now. He's given the cue for the Claymore 3 times. That both men have been knocked out. The referee then ends up getting knocked out. And suddenly, A-Town down. Austin Theory is racing towards the ring. He's about to cash in his money in the bank with a referee of his own. And then out of nowhere, or the crowd, Tyson Fury knocks out Austin Theory.
I thought this was excellent. Very, very clever. They referenced Tyson Fury a couple times during the show. Chekhov's boxer at the start of the show shown right behind the announcers. And it was just perfect. Just like he didn't actually hit Austin Theory. They showed the second angle, the slow motion, but in real time, it looked like he just killed this man with a punch. And Austin's sell was so great. I love this. I laughed. I thought it was a very clever spot.
Well, surely the breeze from a Tyson Fury punch would knock out the regular man anyways.
Knock me out.
Exactly.
So My question was, as you pointed out earlier, Mike, why wasn't he thrown out of the venue though? Because he touched a performer.
We'll get there.
Security just falling asleep at the wheel on this show.
We will get there, gentlemen, please, if I may. We have Roman taking a chair into the ring, but McIntyre finally doesn't bother doing a countdown and just hits a Claymore right in the face of Roman Reigns. 1, 2, and kick out just before 3. Damn it. Okay, this is the new ref, by the way, that came down from Theory. Obviously, he survived the breeze of Tyson Fury's punch, and thus was able to continue the match for Charles Robinson, who had fallen earlier. We get more Bouye punches until Roman and Drew tire out, and then they just keep slugging again. We get a Superman punch from Roman, but that's followed by a Glasgow kiss from McIntyre. Spear by McIntyre. Claymore kick by Drew. This has got to be it. All of a sudden, 1, 2, and the referee is pulled out of the ring. By who, you ask? Austin Theory? Nah, still knocked out from Tyson Fury's breeze. The other referee? Well, that doesn't make sense. He was knocked out too. Nope, it's a dark figure in a hoodie covering his face. Until we see the face up close. It looks like kinda Jey Uso. It looks like kinda Jimmy Uso. But for some reason, we know the reason, they're not in the UK.
We do know the reason, yes.
So who could it be but NXT's own golden-haired boy, Solo Sikoa, is in WWE. He is in Cardiff, and he is making the save for Roman Reigns. For those who don't know, Solo Sikoa is the younger brother of Jimmy and Jay and Thunder Rikishi. So there's your family tree line. Of course, we're getting more explanation from the family about how the bloodline now runs deeper. Drew is distracted by Sikoa. Roman uses this as an opportunity to hit the spear. Charles Robinson, the original referee, rolls in. 1, 2, and 3. After all that, Cardiff is not sent home cheering any new champions tonight.
Crazy. Did not expect that finish, especially with Solo Sikoa to debut in such a huge, high-profile situation in the main event of what might be the biggest show all year in some respects. Obviously, there's WrestleMania, SummerSlam was big, but this had hype on a different level. And man, just Solo Sikoa, like, I actually yelled out loud, ooh, it's like, yeah, NXT, it's here, it's back. And then I realized I can never quit the NXT podcast. So I was sad for a split second. You know what? If NXT is going to keep being this important and this good, I don't want to quit. Why would I want to? It's great again. So yeah, we're on fire here.
It is what it is. And now you have the same influence controlling both ends. So not only are you developing the talent to be called up, but you're then following through with the call up, which was always the big segregation between the two levels, right? Triple H would build this great product or whatever. They'd go to the main roster and they would turn into cartoon characters or be a shell of them former selves because Vince saw a different image. And that's fair. That's fine. He was running the company. Now you got the same guy running both levels. So this is where it gets more interesting, and you'll see a more uniform thing. Again, it's not always going to work either. There's going to be times where I'm sure, Trips craps the bed, so to speak, numerous times. But so far, yeah, he's picking the easy wins right now, and that's what you should do because it is just wrestling after all. Why complicate it?
Also, we get the Mike. We also get the fact that he is now part of the bloodline, which expands the bloodline and makes them an even more powerful force on SmackDown. And as long as this doesn't involve me losing Sami Zayn dancing to the Usos theme song, I'm all good with this.
Speaking of complications, speaking of any feedback, if you have anything you'd like to put in, now that we've gone through the entire show here, we're going to throw this poll up, but also feel free to hit that raise hand comment there in your chat for those of you patrons that are watching. But Brad, you have a first poll for us here regarding the matches of tonight?
Yes, Match of the Night poll is now launched. I don't think we can vote in it, gentlemen, because we're the panelists. But for those of you sitting in the Zoom room, have your voices heard. What is your match of the night? Was it the Damage Control versus Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka? Was it Gunther versus Sheamus? Was it Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler, Edge and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day, Seth freaking Rollins versus Matt Riddle, and Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for our main event? What was your match of the night?
I think it could be a close call here because honestly, there were some great matches here overall. I
would
really
say
liked a lot of them.
100%. I would say 3 matches at least I would call great for sure. And yeah, I think personally my choice is Gunther versus Sheamus, but you can have any one of the final 2 or that match, and I wouldn't call you crazy.
You're crazy, sir. Anyway, we continue now with what happened after the match. As Roman Reigns is celebrating, Tyson Fury then enters the ring. There's a standoff between him and Roman Reigns. They end up shaking hands, though, out of respect for one another, which makes you think, uh-oh, this is going to be the moment. This is when Tyson Fury versus Drew McIntyre gets set up. But I thought they weren't going to do that. Fury has a fight coming up. Okay, well, we'll see what happens here. Roman leaves the ring, celebrates. He's followed by Sequoia, and then Fury picks up Drew McIntyre. Oh, no, this is going to be a big close. No, he raises the arm of McIntyre. He says to Drew, everyone came here to see you. You've done everyone proud. Everyone in this building was cheering Drew McIntyre. But you're a loser. No, he didn't say that. But you suck. No, he didn't say that. But you let everybody down. You didn't win the title. No, he didn't say that either. He said none of those things. Instead, Tyson Fury breaks into a live rendition of American Pie. And they sing the song together.
Yeah. So if you've seen a Tyson Fury fight before, he does this after he wins, which is all of the time. But yeah, it's he is a far better fighter than he is singer. I don't know. It's some people like it. It's kind of become his thing. It's kind of cute, but I have no time for the singing Tyson Fury gimmick.
I haven't watched more than one Tyson Fury fight, and I've never seen him sing after it. I hosted one for a pay-per-view party at a bar once, and that's it. So I don't know anything about this. I just know that I didn't like it.
So
now,
polls over. Damage control. The damage opening match got 50% of the votes, and Gunther and Sheamus got the other half. So 50-50 split between those 2 matches.
Really? Look at that.
Yep.
The ladies getting the match. All right. Good for them. I'm still going to cast my vote. I really liked... I liked the Edge Mysterio tag match. I just thought there was some cute little things in there that we were talking about what a pleasure it is to see Edge and Rey Mysterio still doing what they do. And I'm a huge Edge fan. Always have been, always will be. And I thought there was nice, cute little things. Edge showing that he can still hang with the young kids too is kind of fun to see. So, yeah, I don't disagree with any of these, to quote Joe Aguinaldo. Nobody voted for Liv and Shayna, unfortunately. So sorry, Matt. All right. After that, Fury starts singing American Pie. Drew joins in, so does Cardiff. And then Drew vows to get his hands on those titles, or belts, as normal people call them. And he says, no matter the outcome, let's party. I just lost an opportunity that I've been building towards for months, but hey, let's knock her out anyways. What do you say? And so he's even asking at this point, like, I'm just having a laugh. Are we even still on the air? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So then the boys cost WWE some more copyright money because Drew asks Tyson to start breaking into Sweet Caroline, which Tyson rightly says, no. This is your moment. And then we get the immortal words. To which Corey Graves accurately says, everyone in Britain knows Oasis. Instantly. And yeah, that was it. We ended on a sing-along. And we go to credits, and that's the show.
A fine WWE professional wrestling program. It was a perfect amount of wrestling. Maybe honestly, I got a little tired for a split second during the main event, but they got me right back. I did walk away as soon as Tyson Fury started singing, but that's 20 minutes out of my day that I don't need to waste. And other than that, just an excellent show. Just an excellent show all around.
So
yeah, go ahead, Brad.
That leads us to a perfect opportunity. I'm going to just launch the second poll. Overall, for you guys, thumbs up or thumbs down on this show? I think Matt just said thumbs up. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't hate it. It was thumbs up for me. I thought as far as WWE shows go, the only thing I didn't like about it was there wasn't a single title change. They've done this a lot when they do the shows in Saudi. I thought that the UK fans deserved something of note to happen other than Tyson Fury getting to sing. But honestly, that is what it is.
As much as Gunther is killing it as Intercontinental Champion, obviously they want to give him a long reign. Maybe even they want him to break the Honky Tonk Man's record. Could you imagine?
How dare you, sir?
You know what I would love to see as a quick aside is Gunther just chopping a Honky Tonk Man guitar into dust. They should do that spot where he just chops a guitar in half. But anyway, I would have called
newest member of Imperium.
Yes.
Santino Marella.
Bold choice, but I like it. I like
Italian faction in there. Yeah.
But honestly, I love Gunther. He's killing it. I'd have called an audible in that match. And when they saw that crowd reacting for Sheamus, I think they should have gotten the word to the referee. We're changing the finish. Sheamus is going over. He'll drop the title next Friday on SmackDown. Who cares? Put the title on Sheamus because that was the night. The crowd was super, super with it. They could have called that audible.
Sheamus was wearing his black trunks. He could have made the old black and white and red all over joke. Right? Not a newspaper this time, friends. It's Sheamus, because dear Lord was that guy cut up. But, there you go. That's our overall shot here. Thumbs up seems to be the general consensus by everybody, so that's cool. And I agree. This was a great WWE show. Again, sad there weren't any title changes, but what you going to do? They got plans, I guess. They got plans and they got dreams. Plus, I guess if they're going to incorporate NXT into the weekend, they're going to have a whack of title unifications. So, sure, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to make this make sense in my head. Yeah, Sheamus or Drew. One of them should have left with a belt.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can have somebody from from one of our patrons who's joining us live. Maybe they can help you make sense, because I think Tom has his hand raised there, Mike.
All right, let's go to it then. Hit that raise hand button if you want to be a part of the show, and let's go to Tom. Tom!
I've asked him to join us onto the stage. Tom, here he comes. The main question is, Tom, do you have your shirt on? That's my question for the day.
Realize Brad's been married for a while, so this will excite him either way.
I hit the button. Promote the panelists. Come on, Tom. Come on down. This is great YouTube material, by the way. There he is. All right, I'm going to
Tom's name.
All right, I'm going to spotlight you, Tom. If you have your camera, you're more than welcome to turn it on and join us.
There he is. Hey, Tom. Just got to unmute yourself, pal. This is like every podcast ever. It. There he is. All right, Tom. Take us back in time to you watching Clash of the Castle tonight. How'd you feel?
I just love what WWE is doing. It makes the programming so nice. To see them actually acknowledge the Japanese people know how to wrestle outside of the U.S. That Gunther did have another name. They won't mention it, but they'll acknowledge the crowd mentioning it. They'll mention that they had a faction in the NXT. So all this stuff really makes the product a lot nicer, because it's you don't have that somebody's going to come up and they're going to get screwed. Right? That's why Adam Cole didn't want to come up. That's why a bunch of other people didn't want to come up. Because they knew the guy in charge was going to screw them over and they would be worse off.
Well, that's what we're kind of talking about here too, Tom. And maybe this is the point to bring in the conversation, Matt and Brad as well here. WWE is now a month into the changes that have been going on since Triple H took over. This was a major stadium event with Triple H in charge at the helm in the UK with a different audience. Tom and everybody else here, do you feel that WWE is getting it right this far in? Tom, we'll start with you.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, it's brand new, so it's just like what AEW did at the very beginning. It's brand new. They can't do anything wrong. Obviously, at some point, somebody's going to get mad at Triple H because they're not getting what they want. Then there'll be anarchy in the clubhouse, just like there's a little bit of anarchy at AEW right now.
Allegedly. Brad, what do you think? WWE now, a month in the Triple H changes. Are you enjoying it?
It's definitely more enjoyable. I agree with Tom. I think that we have the benefit of the doubt. It's that honeymoon period that every relationship goes through, and we're in blissed honeymoon, but after a little while, we're going to get into a normal everyday routine, and that's when the conflict, like you said, Tom, is going to happen. So right now, though, let's enjoy the ride, because why not? It's been an enjoyable few weeks. I mean, Mike, you watch Raw every week. You watch probably the longest show on there. It used to be the hardest show to watch, but I think most weeks you may have the best WWE show.
We've been doing very well, Joe Aguinaldo and I, on Tuesday Morning Cooked. Yeah, and that's Brad the Dad, by the way, from our Smack Daddies podcast, which you can also get on our Patreon feed, patreon.com/SNME Radio. Of course, a familiar name and voice we all know, Matt Ederer. You're not totally engaged in WWE as much these days as far as the main roster goes, but how's your month been how's your month been coming into this pay-per-view and what you've seen so far by the new WWE?
I'm really, really encouraged. I think Brad and Tom, my esteemed colleagues here, have hit it on the head, man. It's the honeymoon period, obviously, but for lack of a better term, we've been so poisoned by the long-term relationship we've been in with Vince McMahon before that it's going to be a long honeymoon. Like, we're going to feel like just hearing the word wrestling, just having people with two names, Austin Theory and Matt Riddle, you know what I mean? It's just like normal human interactions on our wrestling show again. That's going to feel fresh for like 5-10 years because it's been so long of the other insanity, right? So I'm really enjoying it. I used to not watch main roster WWE, and I'm realizing how much of that was just, I really didn't like Vince McMahon's vision of wrestling, because every time I watch WWE now, I quite enjoy it. I really do.
Tom, when it comes to your watching of the pay-per-view tonight, you already mentioned some of the things you liked as far as the names coming back and acknowledging the other careers. What was your favorite moment out of tonight's show?
I always have to go for women's matches because they don't get the respect that men do, especially in wrestling, because it's more of a male-dominated sport. So I'll go with the first match. I will say that the SmackDown title match just was in a bad place because it was on a show where everything else was basically a banger, and that they just didn't have it. So they were basically people's washroom break, because even though it's a good match, it doesn't come anywhere near what everything else was.
So, no offense, Tom, that's kind of a backhanded compliment to the women's match, I think. Just me, or am I kind of feeling that alone here?
No, but if you put something like that on like a SmackDown, it'd probably be match of the night. But
yeah, I suppose so.
When you have Edge and Ray doing what they do, you have Gunther and Sheamus do what they do. It's hard to say the women had a great match when the bar is so high up.
So let me ask you this then. Do you like Liv Morgan as champion? Do you and Matt Ederer get along on this?
I have no problem with Liv Morgan as champion. I was very happy that they didn't just take it off of her just to try and turn Ronda Rousey heel. Basically, the fans would decide if she's a heel or a face anyway.
Fair enough. Anything else you got for thoughts coming out of this show, Tom?
I would like to thank NXT Talk for identifying that there was a AEW pre-sale code. It helped me get some tickets, so I'm very happy about that.
How much did you pay for those tickets?
All told, $250.
Wow.
That was for 2 tickets?
2 tickets to 2 separate nights.
Okay, so you went around as well. Nice. Okay,
Not bad,
cool.
not bad, and glad to hear that you're that we helped, man. You're very, very welcome. Cheers.
Thank you, Matt. All right. See some of you tomorrow. Mike,
Yes,
just
sir.
make sure, remember, there is a Rough Rider game going on, so stay somewhere away from Regina.
Trust me, that's never hard to do.
Okay.
Stay away from Regina is like reminding me to breathe, okay? So, all right, thank you very much, Tom. Do we got anybody else who wants to jump in?
Not at this time. So I think
Come
we're
on,
just
you cowards! I'm calling you out. All right. Well, if that's it, then I guess that's the show. Matt, you seem to be the one most in tune with the schedule here. Do you want to give us the programming days ahead here?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, if I may, just a little last patron standing update. We are officially down to the Fantastic Five. Brad the Dad was the last host standing, and these people, they won't die, man.
Is this ever gonna end?
It will never end. It will never end. No, I think this year, like at this rate, we're going to be able to do one of these a year, and they're going to go from January 1st, WWE Day 1, all the way to like at least Survivor Series. But you got to respect the fight. They won't go down. They won't go down. So anyway, we're down to 5. We'll see. We still have 2 shows tomorrow this weekend.
Welcome to the first show of 2028. Matt Ederer is here. Matt, how are we sitting on last patron standing?
Still down to the Fantastic Five. It's been 8 straight years. Yeah. But, so yeah, other than that, we have NXT Worlds Collide. Boris and I will be coming out with a podcast. It will not be a YouTube after party, just a podcast. Hopefully immediately after that show or soon thereafter. We also have the AEW All Out After Party live on the YouTubes in this format. I believe that's going to be Boris and Joe, I think, are doing that show. Not 100%. Right. I think that sounds right, right? Not 100% of the cast. We also have the mothership, the flagship, Sunday night's main event radio, hosted by Mike McGuire. Killing it, Mikey Mac. You're doing a great job. We love you, buddy.
That guy sucks.
That is patently absurd, and you know it. And then on Monday, we're going to have the BAM show. I'm going to give you star ratings for all of the shows over the weekend. We have an NFL preview. We're also talking Donovan Mitchell. Lots of fun coming up on BAM. So that is the next heap of radio / podcast / YouTube content for you.
Jake Allenar wants to know, is Dave on the show tomorrow? Why don't you raise your hand, Jake, and maybe I'll answer you. But no, of course Dave's going to be on the show. Everybody's going to be. It's a standard. The funny thing is that this is going to be the first one in weeks that I don't have a recent interview to air. So believe it or not, I actually don't have a clue what we're doing for segment 3 yet. So should probably get my poop in a group, but yeah,
no doubt.
We'll figure it out. Oh, well, Jake, you're driving. That's okay then. I guess that's okay. You're just texting and driving, Jake. That's better. That's much better.
We appreciate it. Please don't get in an accident. You can put your phone down, brother. It's okay. But if you need a warm human body and I'm not recording something, let me know. I can hop on the show.
The hell? Oh, sorry.
For the radio program.
I've been watching a lot of true crime shows lately, so like.
No extracurricular activities, just for the radio.
What are the options? If you need a warm human body, I'm here. But if you need something a little colder and clammier, you let me know.
Oh, my.
We'll make it happen. Anyway. All right, Brad the Dad. Other than that, you guys are going to be rocking on Friday's show. So for our Smack Daddies program, I got to know, is Father Feltham mad at me now?
I'm not commenting on Greg's behalf, especially not live on YouTube.
That means yes. Anyway. All right, that shuts her down for this one. Again, tomorrow, the big aftercast will be happening. with Boris Aguilar and Joe Aguinaldo following AEW's 15-hour presentation of All Out. Until next time, for Brad the Dad, for Matt Eder, I'm Mike McGuire saying thanks for listening. Have a great night. And I didn't load up any exit music on this, so here's Roman Reigns music because why not? All right, till next time, play safe, drive safe. Abyssinia. There it is. It's not playing now. Fine. You know what, Roman's music? Don't play. I don't care. Here it is. Bye, everybody.